Hey guys, welcome to a book haul. After my last one that I filmed, I think at the beginning of the month, I said I was going to try to not buy anything from Book Outlet. And then I placed an order like later that day and another one the next day. And then they had a sale, so I made another one. Yeah, I do think that as my TBR shelf is filling up here, which you can't quite see on camera right now, I do think I'm like stockpiling, like subconsciously stockpiling for the winter and fall, because I don't like to go to the library as much then, and maybe I'm just making excuses. So I have a haul for you today. Most of the stuff is from Book Outlet. Some of it is from thrift stores. I got a gift, a book sent to me, and then I did a little free library tour over on my Patreon. I think it was like a week ago or so. And I'm going to show you those books, but I'm not going to talk about them at all because I did all that in that video. Yeah, I think one of them is from Book Depository. And then I think that is all of them. And this time I'm going to try to go in the category of the genre of the book. So I tried my best to separate them. There's a bunch of different genres because that's just how I roll. So first of all, we'll start with the book that was sent to me. It was sent to me by the author, and I forgot that I had said yes to this. So when it came, I was surprised. It's called Forged, and the one thing is it is book 4 in a series. So this is the Night Guardians series. So I'm not sure how it's going to be jumping into book 4. But this one is Christian romantic suspense. And we follow private investigator Jax Rodriguez, who's been searching for his brother Diego for 20 years. When he stumbles upon another lead, he makes an agonizing decision. He will follow this last trail until it goes cold, and then he will marry the woman he loves and abandon his quest once and for all. So I'm hoping this doesn't like spoil previous books in the series, but I'm going to give this one a try. Okay, now we're just going to go in the order of the piles, and we'll start with the ones that are closest to me. So my first one is nonfiction, and this is the most like random assortment of books possibly ever considered to be one genre. The first one is the Birth Order book. This is by Dr. Kevin Lehman. So I clearly remember reading this when I was pregnant with my daughter. So it was like pretty much exactly 12 years ago. And I haven't read it since, but so much of what I read from this book stuck with me. I do like personality tests and things because I feel like it helps me kind of understand myself and my weaknesses and my strengths and how to work with those and around those. And the biggest thing that I remember from this is, as a firstborn, firstborns are often perfectionists, and I am not. I mean, I want to be, but I'm not. And he has something he calls the overwhelmed perfectionist, where you want to be a perfectionist, you want things to be perfect, but when too many things are out of order, then you get so overwhelmed you can't make a decision or make progress or reach that perfection that you're striving for. And that has really stuck with me and made me realize when life feels chaotic, I just have to start somewhere. And I know that's an easy thing, like most people would be like, yeah, obviously, but it helps me to get over my overwhelm and just be like, okay, just start with this little task and then move on to the next. And that was so good. And now with a bunch of kids, I'm very curious to read this again. Especially, he does take into consideration adoption. I don't know about foster care, that's obviously different, but I'm very curious to read it now as a parent. Oh, and as always with my book hauls, I will leave my Book Outlet link in the description in case you want $5 off your first order. Okay, this one, oh, where did I find this one? This was from a thrift store. Who Was Dr. Seuss? I collect a lot of these for our homeschool if they seem applicable or like my kids would be interested in them. And I love Dr. Seuss, so that's a good one. There's like a decent amount of information and pictures on each page, so I like these. Okay, very different again. This is a sticker book. This is the Atlantis Sticker Gallery of the Deep Blue Sea. I wanted to use these for pen pal letters, so it has random quotes. I don't even know. They're probably all like sea related. And then pictures and quotes. I mean, not pictures, stickers. So some of these stickers are quite a bit bigger than I was expecting. So I'm not sure how well that will work for some of my pen pal stuff, but that's what I was planning on using this for. And then I got another Wild and Free book. This one is holidays and just different activities, 35 festive family activities to make the season bright. And I just want to get better with celebrating seasons. I mean, Christmas is fairly easy. Is this Christmas specific? It says holidays. I feel like it's Christmas specific. Yeah, oh no, there's Valentine's and stuff too. Okay, so this will be all year round. Great. That's even better because I'm okay with figuring out how to celebrate Christmas, but the other seasons or holidays are a little bit harder, so give that one a try. Okay, 2 more nonfiction, I think. They got messed up in... Well, this one is... Okay, we'll do this one. I've talked about this one a lot. A nature poem for every day of the year, edited by Jane McMorland Hunter. I think I've talked about this in my last 2 videos, or like 2 out of the last 3 or something. It is just a poem for every day of the year. I have her Friends collection, and I've been liking it. I heard in the comments from my last video that this one feels a little repetitive because when you're in spring, you're constantly reading poems about spring, but I'll see what I think of it when I get to it. I'm gonna start it in September, but see, maybe that was just like a spring specific thing. I'm not sure. And then we will call this next category, I don't know if this one should be nonfiction or if it should be a classic. Let's put it in classics. Let's go on to classics. This first one can really be both. It's 84 Charing Cross Road. I found this one from Book Outlet, and they had a very ugly cover on the picture when I placed the order, and I was like, well, I really want this book. It's so, I don't know, what's the right word? I loved reading it. Like, this is a story of a woman from the States writing to a bookstore worker in the UK during World War II, and just like requesting books back and forth. And I liked the wit that she wrote with, and it didn't end the way I wanted, but it's a true story. Like, these are actual letters sent back and forth during World War II. Yeah, so I loved it. Anyway, and it ended up getting this cover, which isn't the one I was expecting, but it's way better than the one I was expecting. So I'm good with that. This would be so good for a few of the prompts for the You've Got Mail readathon. It could work for something kind of like set in a bookstore, because the one guy is working in the bookstore and the other person he's writing to, the author, she's an author, so there's that. And it's also all in letters, so that works for that prompt. Anyway, loved this one. 2 more classics. I got Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen in this Wordsworth, what are they called? They're just called Wordsworth editions. For some reason, when I bought a bunch of Jane Austens at the beginning of the year, I didn't buy this one. This is the only one I haven't read of her main novels now, I think. I still have a few I want to reread. Emma. That's it, maybe. And then Mansfield Park, I don't own this because, in my opinion, it's not worth it. I really didn't like that one. So this is my last one that I'm going to be collecting of hers. Then I found Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own and 3 Guineas. I've heard of A Room of One's Own. It's on my list of 50 books I want to read before I die. So when I saw this there, I wanted to grab it from Book Outlet, and we'll see if I ever get to this other one as well. Just curious to know how long they each are. Looks like they're actually kind of about half of the book each, maybe? Oh yeah, no. A Room of One's Own is super short compared to the other one, so there's that. I don't know anything about it. Okay, this next pile I'm gonna call a thriller, suspense, mystery, I guess. So this one I recently found in a Little Free Library, not during my Little Free Library tour. It is A Case of Need. So this is written by Michael Crichton. I don't know if that's actually how you say his last name. But he originally wrote it under the name Jeffrey Hudson. So this is a medical thriller, a genre I've never read before, but this book stuck out to me because I've heard of the author before. But apparently he completed his medical internship. So I feel like this will have, like, it will be fairly realistic. So I'm very curious about this. Then an author's name that keeps popping up is Megan Miranda. This is All the Missing Girls. I got this from a Little Free Library. I don't know anything about it other than it is, I think, a like thriller kind of book. And I'm just curious. I feel like when it's a Little Free Library, I'm willing to take risks. And I'm assuming that girls go missing, and judging from the cover, that has something to do with amusement park, but I'm just judging a book by its cover there. Then this one was also a little free library book, I think. This is Deadline. Oh no, I got this from the thrift store, I think, by Randy Alcorn. And to be honest, I already own this book, but it is in like mass market size and it's a big book. So I thought this would just be easier to read, and I think it cost me like $1. So I was okay with making that purchase. I actually don't know anything about this. I think, yeah, I do have one of the other books in the series, Dominion. I think it's in the same series. I really need to figure this out. I don't even know what genre it's in. I can't quite see. He is a Christian author. I feel like this is maybe supernatural suspense maybe, because it says his body hung suspended between two friends, his soul between two worlds. So I'm not sure. Doc's shoulder jammed into Jake as he swerved his Suburban sharply to the right, cut between a telephone pole and a billboard, then careened into a 10-foot-high embankment. Sometime between the sounds of Doc's last cry and the sickening crunch of bent metal from the car's first roll, Jake lost consciousness. The last sensation he felt was that of being crushed between the two men he'd known since childhood. It says here, Deadline is a dramatic and vivid novel of suspense, filled with hope and perspective for every reader who longs to feel purpose in life. So maybe this isn't part of a series. I'm actually very confused. It just says a novel. So I need to read this and actually tell you what it's about. Then from Book Outlet, I found Deadfall. This is Nancy Mel's, what is this, book number 2 in the Quantico Files. That's what it's called, the Quantico Files. I own book 1. I really like that one. It has to do with like a cult. But in book 2, we continue to follow the same main character, who's Alex Donovan. She's in the FBI's Behavioral Analysts Unit. So there's a serial killer. I know some people don't like serial killer books, but to me that doesn't really make a difference. So I enjoyed that one, and I enjoyed book 3 that like wraps up the series as well. Then I got 2 more Maisie Dobbs books, A Dangerous Place and In This Grave Hour. And I don't have a clue as to where they stand. Just whenever I can find the next one, I'm picking it up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think this one is number 12 and this one is possibly 14. I have maybe like a third of the books now in the series. They're mystery, they're historical fiction mystery. It starts out after World War I think is our first book. But then she gets older as it goes. So I don't know when they all take place. This one feels like World War II, but I'm not sure. Okay, now we're gonna move on to historical fiction. And I'm actually kind of excited about this first book because it's so very different. I used to own a copy of this. I borrowed it out. It never came back. And so I thought, you know, I've seen these on Book Outlet. I'm gonna give it a try. This is one of their like miniature books. I know they usually have like Anne of Green Gables and another book or two in this, and I was just so curious. It was, what, $1 or $2 for this tiny book. So this is the entire novel, but the pages are like Bible thin. They're very, very thin little pages. Very hard to turn the pages. And then you read the book like this. It's very hard to turn, but that is like the entire book. This one is set in Lithuania in World War II, I think, and then the main character and her mother and brother get sent to a Siberian work camp, which is very different. This is the only book I've ever read set there, and it was so good. She does such a good job with her historical fiction. I don't even know how to hold this book. I guess you hold it like this. She just makes me think, and I've loved every book of hers that I've read. Now, someone that I always see in little free libraries is Kate Morton, and I think I've read all of her books, or I thought I had, but then I saw this one and I was like, maybe I haven't read this one. So she writes usually dual timeline with some kind of mystery, murder kind of element in the past and someone kind of stumbling across it in the present, and I usually feel like I really enjoy her books. They feel kind of like Jamie Jo Wright to me, but Kate Morton takes like 100 pages too much to write her books, in my opinion. Like, I enjoy them, but usually there's a part where I'm like, okay, like I've had enough. And now this one, I don't remember if I have read. It doesn't sound familiar. It says, on a summer evening in 1933, Eleanor and Anthony's beautiful country home in Cornwall has been opened for a grand party. But while fireworks bring the night to its finale, they discover that their 11-month-old son, Theo, has vanished from his crib. And they can't find him, and then we are 70 years later. Alice is living in London and is a writer of mystery novels. And then she receives a letter out of the blue from a young police detective asking questions about an unsolved case. So yeah, I don't know. I thought I had read all her books, but this one does not sound familiar. So I'm going to read this, and I saw that she is coming out with another book next year. And it's been a few years since her previous one, which wasn't so great. So I'm very excited to read this one and then read her next one and then kind of like see if I want to keep reading her books. If I'm going to keep finding them in little free libraries, then probably. Okay, more historical fiction. This one is biblical fiction, Counted with the Stars. This is the first book in the Out of Egypt series from Connellan Cossette. So we are in Egypt there's a plague hitting Egypt. So I'm not sure exactly when this is taking place. It's 1448 BC, but I'm not really sure what's all going on. I've heard such great things about her books, and we don't follow, from here, we don't actually follow like a biblical character. We're just set during the biblical times. Very curious to try her stuff. I've heard really good things and still haven't picked any up, even though I own a few now. Okay, then I got a Name Unknown. This is by Rosanna M. White, and this is the first book in the Shadows Over England series. I started her newest book recently and was really disappointed by it, and I saw this one was the first book in a series, so I thought I would try it. It is historical fiction. When does this take place? Europe is moving closer to World War I, and I don't know, I don't really want to read much about this one. I kind of want to go in blind because I felt so very disappointed from her previous one. Yeah, so we'll see. And this one, I think, actually, did this one just come out? It's 2021. I don't remember where I heard about this one. The Moonlight School. I definitely, maybe it was someone I follow, maybe it was Goodreads. So this is Christian fiction as well. Haunted by personal tragedy, Lucy arrives in Rowan County, Kentucky in the spring of 1911 to assist her cousin, Cora, a superintendent of schools. A fish out of water, Lucy is appalled by the primitive conditions and intellectual poverty she encounters. This is inspired by true events. It says, the author brings to life the story that shocked the nation into taking adult literacy seriously. So, that's cool. And then this next one, the Master Craftsman, Kelly Stewart. I listened to her on a podcast or something. Oh, I can't remember now. I think Joanna Davidson Politano was also on there. Yes, and that's why I was listening to it. And there was someone interviewing both of them. And this book sounded really interesting. So I got it from the library, read the first chapter as I've been doing with my library experiment lately, really liked it. And so then I saw it on Book Outlet, so I purchased it. So I've only read the first chapter. There's a dog that sounds like it's like right outside my window. So we're in 1917, and we are with the Master Craftsman in the House of Fabergé, charged to protect one of the greatest secrets in Russian history, an unknown Fabergé egg that he secretly created to honor his divided allegiance to both the people of Russia and the imperial Tsar's family. And then 3 generations later, a world-renowned treasure hunter is sick and fears the secret of the missing egg will die with him. So we're dual timeline. Sounded very interesting. Okay, that is all for historical fiction. Next we've got some middle grade. And then like these middle grade ones kind of fall into some of these categories, but I just thought I would separate them. So I got volume 2 in the Passages manuscript series. I think I own book 1 and I haven't read it. My kids haven't read it. This is by Paul McCusker. He's the Adventures in Odyssey guy, I think. Yeah. I feel like the first ones were kind of set. Yeah, so 5 kids from our world find themselves caught up in the history-changing events of another time and place. So the first one, I started reading it, the first book in the first volume, and I think they went into like biblical history there. I don't know where these go. I really should try the first one. I saw this at the thrift store and I was like, well, I can't pass it up because if the other one's really good, then I would want to own book 2. And I found a book 3 from Book Outlet, Cold-Blooded Myrtle. This is the 3rd book in the Myrtle Hardcastle series. It is a middle grade mystery series. There's a lot of deaths wherever Myrtle goes, apparently. But one of my favorite things I always say about this series is the... Does this one not have it? No way. The first two books have a lot of, oh no, it does here, footnotes. And I just feel like they're always a little bit witty, and I enjoy that. And at first I didn't think this one had any. It does, just not as much as the other books, I guess. But it definitely has a little bit. Okay, here's one that I can actually read. Oh, okay, so they were talking about going for an invigorating evening constitutional. And here the footnote says, an overblown name for a walk taken for no logical purpose. Yeah, so I have really enjoyed these. I've listened to most of them, all three of them on audio so far. Definitely recommend these if you like middle grade mystery books. This is the reason I placed that first book outlet order after I just said I wasn't gonna place one. Never Grow Up by Karen Kingsbury and Tyler Russell. My daughter is collecting the series and enjoying it. This one is book 3, possibly 4. And yeah, so she wanted this one. We happened to check and it was there, so I bought it, and some other books. I guess this is like Karen Kingsbury, one of her main series. I remember reading a little bit of it when I was in high school, the Baxter kids. This is them as like preteens, I think. So she's making good use of that family. And then I got White Bird. This is a graphic novel of what's his name? Julian from Wonder. He's kind of like the bully. This is a story that his grandmother tells him of her time as a Jew during World War II and how she had to escape. And this is a really good book. And this one is like quite oversized. I originally read it from the library a few years ago, and I don't remember it being so large, but this one is a very big copy. Okay, this next category I'm going to call contemporary, because I think that's what it is. Of course, it only has 3 books because it's not something I generally read a lot of. So I got it, Diane Chamberlain, Breaking the Silence. So I definitely recently bought a book, a newer book by her, I'm pretty sure. So then I saw this and I thought I would grab it, and I don't really know anything about it. A father's dying wish, a husband's shocking suicide, a daughter's inexplicable silence. So this main character, her husband dies, and their 5-year-old daughter, Emma, witnesses her father's suicide, and she refused to talk about it, or to talk at all. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I have a Diane Chamberlain book. This is bothering me. Oh yeah, I got The Stolen Marriage from her a while ago. This one is just like, obviously quite a bit older. This was originally copyright 1999. So we'll see. I have no idea. Kind of, I feel like people generally like her. Her books have pretty high ratings, so we'll see. Then the next one is a book that I shared about in my library book haul, I think, that I wasn't very interested in it because it didn't grip me the first chapter like I was trying, and so many people said they loved it that I'm like, okay, I'll buy it, because so many people I respect that I feel like they know my tastes said they liked it. And that is The Words Between Us. Plus, I mean, it's got books on the cover, so that's always more interesting. Yeah, so I don't even remember anything about it. Oh, and it has to do with running a used bookstore. I don't know why the beginning just didn't jump at me. Although it does have a good first sentence. Most people, or first paragraph I guess it is, most people only die once, but my father is not most people. He is a monster. So that's quite the start. And this is Christian fiction, so I bought it, I'm going to read it, and hopefully I'm going to love it. And then I got another one of her books. So these are, yeah, contemporary. This one I don't really know. It's called The Girl Who Could Breathe Underwater. And it's not like, there's not much to the cover, but I'm kind of obsessed with it because it's really cool. I don't really know. We're going to read the back because I don't know. It says, when novelist Kendra moves into her grandfather's old cabin on Hidden Lake, she has a problem and a plan. The problem? An inflammatory letter from a very disappointed reader. The plan? To confront Tyler, her childhood best friend's brother, and man who inspired the antagonist in her first book. If she can prove that she told the truth about what happened during those long ago summers, perhaps she can put the letter's claim to rest and meet the swiftly approaching deadline for her next book. Plumb the depths of the human heart with this emotional exploration of how a friendship dies, how we can face the unforgivable, and how even those who have been hurt can learn to love with abandon. I haven't read anything by Erin Bartels, but now I own 3 of her books that I just got in the last few months, so I should definitely try one of hers real soon. Okay, my last genre-specific stack before we get into the ones that I shared in my Patreon vlog. In this very long video here, we are going into science fiction and fantasy. So I found Merlin. This is by Stephen Lawhead. I found this in a little free library, which is very interesting because somebody bought it from thrift books, which I feel like isn't very popular here for people to be purchasing from there. This is book 2 in the Pendragon cycle. Obviously I need to get my hands on book 1, but it was in a little free library, so I snagged it. Don't know anything about it. I feel like it'll be a while before I get to it. Then I found from Book Outlet, and these were on their $5.99 sale, Wolf by Wolf and Blood for Blood. I just read this series, just shared about it recently in a wrap-up. This is alternate history if the Axis powers won World War II, and I really enjoyed it. Then this is Murphy made me buy it, plus the colors on the cover are really cool. The gilded ones. Now, I don't even normally like the books that she actually recommends or like enjoys. We don't have the same taste, but every now and then I like to pick one up. So she was talking about this in a vlog like a month or 2 ago, and I was intrigued. It was $5.99 for a hardcover on Book Outlet, so I thought I'd get it. Yeah, no, I know it's fantasy. I think kind of like set in Africa, and at a certain age, kids or girls, I think, just can bleed gold. And if they do so, then they're outcasts, and I'm not really sure what else. Kind of don't want to know more going into it, but the colors are very summery. I like that. Okay, then I bought a science fiction series, I think it is. I just have been craving that, and the series was on there. I think, which one's first? I don't know. I got Steel Striker and Sky Hunter by Marie Lu. I've tried a few of her books, but I don't know if I've ever actually finished one of hers. And what's really cool is actually these both have the title of the book on there. I don't think I own any. I'm trying to think of what this is called. I'm forgetting. I don't have any books that are like cool over there though. I think this one comes first. A world broken by war, a team of young warriors is willing to sacrifice everything to save what they love. So I don't know. Once again, this is kind of like a series I want to go into blind. I'll maybe read the back here. It says, "My name is Talon. I am a striker for Mara, the last free nation of this side of the sea. We are legendary bringers of death, assassins of monsters, and the only thing standing between our homeland and annihilation." So, no idea. Pretty covers, $5.99 for hardcover. I bought them. And then the last one, another one that I didn't really know anything about, but was like science fiction. I'm curious. The Calculating Stars. So this is an alternate history of spaceflight, and I'm so there. I'm really enjoying alternate history, and I'm very curious. So I feel like it's got like Hidden Figures vibes, but alternate history. And Hidden Figures, the actual book was... Did I read that one? I can't remember if it was that one I started. It was kind of boring. But if you're going to take it, put it into novel form and change some things, maybe it'll be interesting. Okay, so here are the books that I got from a bunch of little free libraries recently. I'm just going to say the title and the genre. If you want to hear more about me and what I said when I originally got them, then you can head over to Patreon and check that out. So I got 4. This is a science fiction, part of a science fiction series. Dystopian. The Headmistress of Rosemere, historical fiction. George Orwell, Down and Out in Paris and London. I don't know if this is a classic. Oh no, this is a biography / autobiography. Okay, interesting. Vanity Fair. This one is a classic. Avi's The Seer of Shadows. And I think this is historical fiction, but like maybe science fiction-y, and middle grade. Toward the Sunrise, I didn't realize till I got home that this is book 3. So this is Christian historical fiction. I forgot to look up how to say this. I am that name. So this is a true story that I'm very curious about. The Alliance. This is a post-apocalyptic novel set in a Old Order Mennonite community. Double Identity by Margaret Peterson Haddix. Middle grade science fiction. Before I Fall. This is now a movie, and I actually don't really know anything about it. Don't even know how to categorize it. Spellbound, I believe this one is fantasy or science fiction. Still Alice, contemporary, I guess. The Home Place. This one is possibly contemporary, possibly suspense. I got a Lynn Austen, which I think is historical fiction, Christian historical fiction. Preston and Childs, Crimson Shore. I think that this is thriller mystery kind of thing. And the last one, possibly like one that I am the most excited about, is called The Rule of Three. And this is science fiction, I believe. Very curious. So let me know what you think of these books. Anything that jumped out at you that I should like get a head start on soon. Thanks so much for being here, guys.